Welcome to Btekt, David here, and this is going to be a comparison between two of arguably the very best screens that are available on smartphones at the moment. I'll also compare some of the pictures that we get from these two excellent devices, and I'm talking about the OnePlus 7 Pro and the Sony Xperia 1. The OnePlus 7 Pro comes in at about £799 and the Xperia 1 you can pick up for £849. I've been using both of these handsets over the last few weeks and I can tell you that they are both very solid devices. I really like both of them. Both Snapdragon 855 powered handsets, and they're both extremely quick, although the OnePlus 7 Pro probably has the edge when it comes to speed, as the whole thing is based around it. It benefits from the new UFS 3.0 ultra-fast storage standard, as well as having a ridiculous 12GB of RAM, double what you get in the Sony. But before we get into it, let me say a big thank you to Direct Mobiles for looking after us here at Btekt. 24 years of award-winning customer service, and it really is the place to go if you're after a new phone, as you can compare all the available deals from all of the UK networks in one place. Check in the video description below for a link or search directmobiles.co.uk. Both of these flagship smartphones have triple lens cameras, and they both have a very similar look to them, with this large camera module which is centrally placed. But this video is mostly about the screens, and they're both very high tech. The OnePlus 7 Pro is working with a curved 6.7-inch UHD Plus OLED display. This screen has a resolution of 1440 by 3120, and it has a refresh rate that's higher than normal smartphones at 90Hz. Most smartphone screens have a refresh rate of 60Hz. This means we get smoother scrolling, although the screen is not set to 90Hz by default, which probably goes to show that it does drain a fair bit more battery. And it is something that I've noticed. Although it is a beautiful, uninterrupted viewing experience. No hole cutouts and no notch. Although this is one thing that the OnePlus 7 Pro and the Sony Xperia 1 do actually have in common. Stubborn old Sony have resisted putting the notch in any of their smartphones. And if you ask me, it was a good move, as they seem to be going out of fashion now, especially now that Xiaomi and Oppo have announced that they're developing under-screen camera technology. I've said it before that if your screen is big enough, you don't really need a notch, and you can get away with some bezels. Xperia 1 does have a bit of a forehead and a little bit of a chin, but it's nothing major, and I think that the bezel design actually suits the handset, and I am really glad that they didn't go with a notch. There's no curves on this screen either. It's a 6.5-inch cinema-wide OLED display, 4K resolution, and of course framed in that 21:9 cinema style aspect ratio. Like the OnePlus 7 Pro, it is also a very high-tech screen, with Sony's X1 engine making it capable of remastering content up to HDR. It also has a virtual 10-bit color depth, 8-bit with 2-bit smoothing, eliminating banding that you might get on some other displays. So let's take a look at the screen calibration settings on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and it gives you a few options here, as you can select between the vivid color profile, natural or advanced. Advanced allows you to choose between the AMOLED wide gamut, sRGB and Display P3. There's also a slider at the bottom to control the color temperature of the screen. The natural option is the closest match to content that is produced using the DCI-3 color gamut, which would be the majority of 4K content that's produced today, while sRGB will be a match for the majority of 1080p content that we see. What's missing here is an automatic mode, which is something that you do find on the Sony. If we go to the display settings on the Xperia 1 and click image quality settings, we get to choose between creative mode and standard. Creative mode will reproduce the colors with specially developed image processing, which is compatible with the BT 2020 color gamut. You also get 10-bit color and HDR in this mode. Standard mode will get you brighter, more vivid colors, great for things like gaming but less accurate than the creative mode. There's also video image enhancement through the X1 for mobile engine, which will improve the sharpness and give a more natural look. Sony's expertise within this field should give them the edge over the OnePlus, but at first glance the OnePlus is a more striking display. It's definitely brighter, as you can see here, as I've had to adjust my camera down to stop the highlights from blowing out on the OnePlus. Both phones are set to their maximum brightness. Once I've compensated for the over brightening, you can see how much more true the colours are from the Sony. They're both playing movies that I've downloaded from Netflix, so they're not streaming and they're both in their maximum resolution. It just goes to show, although the OnePlus does have a really good display, the Sony is definitely the device that you'll want to be watching Netflix on. If we take a look at the pictures side by side, I have to say I do prefer the look from the OnePlus. These first two shots were taken with portrait mode on, which works much better on the OnePlus than the Sony. The Sony was finding it hard to lock onto the subject, and you have to stand a little bit further away with the Sony, which I found to be slightly problematic at times. These shots were taken with their telephoto lenses, and you can see the advantage that the OnePlus 7 has with its 3x zoom compared to the 2x zoom on the Sony. In this shot, the OnePlus has done better with the white balance, although the lights in that tunnel were actually a little bit yellow. So although it does look more pleasing, the colour is actually less accurate. I am a little bit disappointed with the pictures from the Sony. It does feel like the same kind of thing that we had with previous Sony flagships, like the XZ2 and the XZ3. Although their sensors are top of the line and do create beautiful pictures, it does seem to be let down slightly by its software. For me, the OnePlus 7 Pro is by no means the best smartphone camera out there, yet I'm still preferring the images that I'm getting over the Sony. However, one area that I absolutely love the Sony is in video. Even though it doesn't shoot 60 frames per second in 4K, I still like the cinematic look that you get even from the standard video. The Cinema Pro app takes the upper notch and turns this thing into a proper cinema camera. Check the link in the description to see my Cinema Pro guide if you want to know more about that. The OnePlus 7 Pro can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, and with the highest bitrate that I've seen on any phone, 160 megabits per second, which is about 3 times the data rate from the Sony. Overall, these are two outstanding phones, and I'm still not really sure which one I like best. I really do appreciate the slim aspect ratio from the Sony, but I wish it just had slightly better photos. And as much as I love its beautiful 4K display, it does need to be a tad brighter, as it can be a little bit tricky to see in direct sunlight. To me, the OnePlus's screen has much better legibility generally, even though it may sacrifice image quality for brightness. Anyway, that's it from me. Thanks for watching my comparison between these two fantastic flagships. There's plenty more content on the way. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. It's at Btekt, or add me on Snapchat at david.btekt. Thanks for watching. My name's David. This is Btekt.
It's Arch Bad B.